Hello.
Hi.
Hi.
They're still going to be. Hi, welcome back, everyone. Monica Gillette calling in from Freiburg, Germany. And we have Jakevis with us. Can you please introduce yourself and tell us where you're calling from?
Yes. Hi, everyone. My name is Jakevis Thomason. I'm from Greenville, South Carolina, which is where I'm at right now.
Thank you so much. Where you were a few months ago was Los Angeles, California, right?
Yes.
And that's where you made this film. It was just a few days, if I have it right, after George Floyd's murder.
Mm-hmm.
And I would like to start by just asking you to walk us through how you got to this film.
Yeah, so when all the murders started to be publicized and in the public and in the media, I couldn't help but feel like very sad, and to a point where I didn't want to create anything or just do anything at all. I didn't want to give America anything, no art, no dance, just nothing. But then I sat and thought about how I could contribute to this movement through my artwork and how I could create something that would make people aware of what's going on and help people realize that this is a reality that we're facing. So I actually thought about this film on a Wednesday. I was thinking about doing this film and I had all these ideas in my mind. I didn't really know how it was going to come together. But I just had these visuals and pictures that I imagined with like the flag that you saw with us dancing in handcuffs, using my street that I was living on. And I immediately called my friend Rochelle and asked her, would you mind being a part of this film with me on a Wednesday? And she said, yes. We rehearsed Thursday and then we rehearsed Friday as well. And then we started rehearsing on Saturday, where I went and filmed some of the shots that I was wanting in the locations. And then Sunday we filmed everything. And yeah, so everything was filmed in one day. But the choreography sort of it kind of came naturally because I realized that I was wanting to say something while I was dancing. I had context. I had a reason for why I was dancing. I had something that I wanted to get across to my audience, to the viewers that were watching this video. So the choreography kind of stemmed from there's a lot of symbolism in there that you see from Black bodies in history. There's the running, there's the slipping, the tripping, there's polyrhythms, polycentrism. There's so much in there that Black people have given to dance, this euphemism, this usefulness that we have. So I was thinking about embodying all of that in this video. And yeah, that's basically how it came about.
I want to go to this, you mentioned the slipping, this shot where you, and I want to also highlight that you're choreographing, you're dancing in it, you're directing it, you're editing it, and you're styling it.
Yes.
and I'm having some editing experience in my background. I really want to honor how impressive that is to be doing so many roles.
Thank you.
At the same time. And since then, and since also you just graduated, right? From
yes.
University of Southern California, Gloria Kaufman, what's the full name?
USC Gloria Kaufman School of Dance.
School of Dance, thank you.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, so you just came out a couple months ago and you immediately stepped into this form of activism, or maybe you didn't step into it. Maybe this was already your practice in your school. Maybe you can share a little bit about how this became your way to express and to communicate.
Yeah, so in my art, before this movement started happening, I didn't really engage much in politics or sort of this avocation for my Blackness. I didn't see a reason to. I am Black. Anything that I do, you notice that I'm Black. My artwork stems from Black bodies, the Black experience, Black history. But since this happened, I realized that Black artists aren't at the front of the room as they should be. Black creatives aren't at the front of the room as they should be. So this is where I took this as an opportunity to push that and to make people aware of the knowledge and the creativeness that Black bodies have and that they need to share and that people need to be aware of. And not so much just to express creativity, but also history, also knowledge, educate people and let them know what's going on and how we can stop this cycle that is continuing to happen on a daily basis of like racism, injustices, social injustices, racial injustices. Yeah, I wanted to implement that a lot more in my work and in my films that you see now. And it definitely has enhanced during this movement a lot more. And this this choreographic, this idea of putting everything through choreography and through dance definitely has stemmed from me being at school at USC and just realizing the complexities that dance offers and knowing that dance is such a universal language that everyone can speak. And even if you haven't experienced dancing before, you're able to look at it and understand. So I wanted to use that to say what I feel like words can't say all the time, what I feel like people can't understand through speaking or through every language. So I wanted to use dance as that way to do so.
Can I ask you one question specifically about your education at USC, at University of Southern California?
Yeah.
When we last spoke, you shared with me what you had access to there and also what was being dismantled a bit and rebuilt. If you can share a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so through choreography, there's a lot of opportunities at USC for composition and basically composition, putting together a piece, putting together works, coming up with movement ideas, phrasing, and on top of that, adding context to your work, not letting it just be moves or a couple of steps. It has meaning, actually investing time and research into what you're doing and what you're composing. And there's a lot of dismantling this idea of what a dancer should be. At USC, they're interested in a hybrid artist, which is sort of this artist that's able to do it all when needed. They give you this toolbox of, I think toolbox is the right word I want to use. They give you this toolbox of ideas and things that you can use as a dancer. So it's not just, I'm just going to do ballet or I'm just going to do hip hop. It's how you can use ballet in hip hop, how you can use hip hop in ballet, how you can use jazz, how all these dance forms inform each other. So we don't look at it as such separate ideas. We look at it as one. It's all movement. It's all together. It's unity. It's unified. So we're trying to break that idea of everything being separated. And there's always conversations happening at USC, conversations dealing with Blackness and the Black body in a university setting or in the dance industry in general, identity, sexual identity, gender identity. These are all things that are continuously being brought up at my university, which I honestly think it's one of many in USC. I think, I'm not going to say the first of many, but it's definitely one university that I think stands out amongst the rest, especially when it comes to dance, of having these conversations and putting these at the front of the room and knowing that we need to dismantle some of these traditional ideas that our country has brought about.
I'm going to continue with one more question, but first I want to open it up and let the audience know that this is also an opportunity where you can ask Jakevis a question. So you just press the little hand button at the bottom, or you can type in the Q&A box. If you put the hand, you'll come on camera. You can type in the Q&A box. We'll just read your responses. I want to go back to this shot in the film that I started to speak about it a moment ago and then got excited about something else. This shot of you running. Yeah, I was getting excited about all the multiple roles you do when you make your films. And the shot of you running out was the first shot that grabbed my attention in this film. Because you took one collective narrative that we have of a Black body running, and I say us, I'm American, so this is an image that has been used and abused many times. Or like a narrative has been put on top of it.
Yeah.
And you, with one slip, turned it and turned it into something else. You turned it into a dance, you turned it into a celebration, you turned it into joy, you turned it into life. And that shot for me is when I had access to my own emotions and feelings around what is happening. Can you talk about how you worked with this juxtaposition of imageries and narratives, juxtaposition of narratives?
Yeah. So like you just said, it's these images that we've seen before. It's these visuals that we've seen so many times of a Black person running, and specifically to the murders that we've had in America, specifically Ahmed, with him just jogging and being shot. That's the image that I wanted to give, but I also wanted to take that and adapt it to dance and choreography as well, so that it's saying the same thing as if we were just running or jogging, and it's the same narrative, same story, but it sort of has this other layer to it now that we're sort of dancing, or this choreography comes about. I also, that slip is sort of the trigger to it all. It sort of sets everything up for the rest of the film. I took that as you're not knowing what's coming. You're not knowing what's going to happen, which I'm sure the people who I was speaking for in the film, who I was honoring in the film as well, didn't know what was happening, or wasn't expecting anything to happen when they're going on a jog, when they're sleeping in their bed, when they're going on a walk, when they're apparently not sitting in a check to the right place and they get kneed in the neck on the ground. It's sort of these things that you don't expect. So I wanted to take that as well and have this sort of narrative where I'm just running and then all of a sudden something happens and it's like, wait, what's going on now? This is a whole different story, and it continues like that the whole entire way. And it happens again at the end of where you assume, where I've heard a few people assume that it was over, which is why I titled it Please Watch after the credits as well. You assume that it's over when we get to the flag and you see us marching towards it, but it's not. It continues after the credits as well, with the bodies just laying on the floor. And it's another trigger that I wanted. It's this difference of us being so lively at one point and so filled with not necessarily joy, but I think lively is the word. It's so much life at first, and then at the end it's nothing but death and dead bodies. And same thing in the beginning. You start off with your normal day, start off by running and jogging, and then all of a sudden it breaks into this movement. And I kind of wanted to have that juxtaposition of it being this sort of reality, this idea of reality, and then it sort of goes into this, and not saying that the choreography and dance is a reality as well, but sort of goes into this story, like you said, this narrative. The film takes you through all these experiences and all these stories of these people who have been murdered. And that's what I wanted. I wanted that feeling of reality to be brought in as well. So it just didn't feel as if you're watching a film, but you're actually witnessing what's happening. You're actually witnessing what's happening in these stories that are being told.
If anyone in the audience wants to ask a question, please type it in or put your hand. If not, if I don't see one come up, sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Then I want to continue this shot of the flag that you have of the two of you standing and just looking at it. This was another shot that really stood out for me. This question mark, this what are we supposed to, and as Americans we're taught from day one, pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, this thing we have to recite, this poem we have to recite, and there's that shot. Can you break that down for us?
Yeah, it's, for me, it's saying that, like you just said, we grow up having to say this pledge, and when things come about, when you're killing Black bodies in the country that we're saying the pledge to, and not necessarily having a reason to, except for the fact that they're Black, it sort of messes with your head a little bit, and you start to question, why am I pledging or showing any kind of honor to a country that doesn't accept me, or to a place that wasn't made for me? And that's the reason why I had that shot in there of why we don't have our hand over our heart. We're just looking at it as if, how are we expected to say the pledge or to give praise and say that this is the best country when we don't feel that way, and it's not true. And that's what that shot is saying to me. And we're just standing there, and at one point we're marching towards it again at the end. And this idea of marching towards the flag instead of away from it, for me, is the sort of idea that no matter what, Black bodies in this country are going to have to rise above the violence. We're going to have to rise above the racism. We're going to have to rise above the injustices, no matter what. And we always keep progressing forward, no matter what it is. And it's really hard, because you get stuck in this place where you don't want to, or you don't want to do anything, where you're just mad, and all you want to do is riot and protest. And it almost feels like we're going in this cycle, and it's going around and around and around, which sadly it is, if we don't stand up for it and break the cycle and do things that are going to help people realize that in order for us to end everything, that you're going to have to stand up and speak up for it and stand against it and march with us instead of against us or away from us. We're going to have to march towards the problem. And that was my idea, because I've had a lot of people ask why I didn't march away instead of towards it at the end. And that's my reason why. We don't need to run away from anything. We don't need to march away from anything. March towards it. Go towards it. We're not going to get to the problem if we keep running around it, going away from it. We need to go towards the problem. And at this moment, America is the problem. The politics, the government, like, we just have to figure out what it is that we need to fix, and that's not going to happen if we keep running away from it. So yeah, that's the reason why I had the part of there in the flag.
Thank you. I want to turn to a question that came. Hi, Jakevis. I'm really enjoying being introduced to your work. In amongst the serious message, there's a real sense of playfulness, even cheekiness. In your work, I've also seen Black Parade, which will be shown tomorrow for everyone listening. Can you talk about this aspect? You've started talking about this already, I think, as I'm typing, but if you could talk about this playfulness or cheekiness.
Yes, of course. It's, like I said, in my work, I also learned a lot about this from my university as well, from my jazz teacher, Salima E. Knight. The Africanist aesthetic, it's all of that. It's this euphemism, this youthful attack that I wanted to have, and this aesthetic of the cool that also Black bodies bring to dance that I wanted to really emphasize in all my work. It's sort of that I guess you can say entertaining factor, but also this element that is just very satisfying to watch. It's this sort of style that Black bodies have that I wanted to really emphasize in my work. And that's why I love to work with other Black dancers as well, because that's just naturally embedded with them. It's in our culture, it's in our history, this style, this sense of, may I say, funk that we have. Like, yeah, I love to bring that out. And I think also having this sort of character, not so much in this, because these really aren't characters, these are people, but and all my other films, that sense of having that character, that sort of animation involved in my work as well, is something I like to play around with. And definitely in Black Parade a lot too, with the clothing choices and styling. It's things that you've seen already in Black culture, it's things that we've already brought about, but it's that thing that you see in pop culture that I also want to emphasize. Pop culture is embedded in our literally embedded in our history and in a lot of our work that you see in America now. So that's what I also wanted to bring to the front of the room as well. So yeah.
Thank you so much. It's crazy how fast the time flies in this medium. And I'm sorry to say that we've already come to our time end.
Oh, no.
But tomorrow everyone can watch Black Parade. And your films have opened up the capacity in me to also walk towards the flag, because I absolutely have wanted to walk away from it. But I've been watching several of your films in the last few months because they do access that in me. So I just want to say thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
And stay with us. There'll be more films after this, and wishing you all a good evening. Thank you so much, Jakevis.
No problem. Thank you so much, Monica.
Bye.
Bye.